What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Right now I'm on my way to my brother-in-law's house. We're gonna be replacing the water pump on his 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee. He said there was kind of dumping fluid everywhere and coolant was just spraying out. So we're gonna see how bad it is and see how hard it is to replace it. Dude, please do me a huge favor and like and subscribe. That really help out this channel, so I can continue to bring more content to you guys. So let's get it. My Jeep, father-in-law's Jeep, brother-in-law's Jeep. There's kind of a pattern here. All right, guys, so today we're doing a water pump on my brother-in-law's is it 2002?
Yep.
Yeah, 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee. So when he took it in for the oil change or whatever, they said it was dumping a lot of coolant out of the front of the engine. So pretty sure that's the culprit. So we got the new water pump sitting right there, and
we're gonna throw a part at it and see if it makes it work better.
So it turns out we have everything that we need except for a bucket. So we're going back to Ace. All right, so it turns out we had a bucket. So we got to jack this thing up at least enough to get the bucket underneath it. We actually had two buckets emerge. They're a little dirty, but they'll work. It's got to put coolant in them, and then we'll figure out a way to legally dispose of the coolant when we're done.
Oh no.
See if we can figure it out. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. I'll crank that thing.
Am I being punked right now? Is this a broken jack?
I don't know. Look at that man beard. And there's two more buckets. There he is. And if you guys are wondering, I'm short, but I'm not super short. He's just like a giraffe. I mean, how tall are you?
Like 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, whatever. Also, another thing that we found that was kind of neat, look at the condition of this radiator. I mean, those aren't all supposed to be separated like that, but the radiator's not leaking, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Should be fine. Start by moving the shroud. All right, so we got the fan shroud out. Now looking at the water pump, one of the things that we also noticed is that looks like there's fluid leaking out of this guy right here, but can't tell, so I should almost just fire it up and see where the leak's actually coming from now that we have all that shit out of the way.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and crank it up. You know, looking at the way this is designed makes a guy wonder what they were thinking when they designed it. Look at the hole compared to where the fan is. I mean, you would think that, you have the room, you'd think that you'd want the fan to be more even in the shroud. I don't know. I guess they know what they're doing. Okay, so the weird thing is, you can see that that's wet. Can't tell if that's just from where he dumped it in and it kind of leaked or whatever, just got everything wet. But there is no coolant dumping out of the water pump. So, not quite sure what that means or where his coolant's going or where the mechanic at the oil change place told him his antifreeze was leaking from. But as of right now, we ran it for a while. Got it nice and hot, fully pressurized, and I don't see a single drop of coolant leaking anywhere. But Should we just replace it anyway?
I don't know, man. I really don't know.
You don't know?
It was a cheap part. I mean, it's no skin off my back spending money on the part. It was acting up about a week ago, a couple days ago. It hasn't acted up again since. Think we should replace the radiator?
Yeah, I mean,
That could be a huge pain in the dick.
no. Now that it's out, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, just take the grill off and there's a couple bolts that hold it in. But that is a little concerning because if you look down on the lower part, that's kicked out cockeyed too.
Yeah.
And same with on the top.
Yep.
And that is not good.
You don't have one in stock?
I don't.
All right, thank you then. You have a good one.
No problem. My orchard store has one in stock.
All right, good to know. Thank you for that info.
No problem.
Goodbye.
Well, the one here in Battleground doesn't have one, but Orchards isn't too far.
Well, I'm calling AutoZone.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call too.
Call AutoZone. Hey there, is calling to check for stock on a part.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay. Did that guy talk any faster?
And now we play the hold game.
The fuck? I mean, that is gross. I don't like the look of that, but I mean, maybe that did get stripped or something last time they put it on there. Whoever that was. No, I bet you.
All right, thanks for holding.
Hey there. Hey, so I got a 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's a 6-cylinder. You guys got a radiator in stock for that?
Got one in stock, yep.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for that info, man. I'll see you soon.
No problem, all good.
Goodbye.
We called around and AutoZone has a radiator for it. So we're just gonna go ahead and replace it since this one is obviously bent. I don't know what happened to it or what could have happened to it. So we're just gonna replace it, be on the safe side.
I know what happened to it. My buddy's fat ass dad was probably leaning on it, working on the Jeep.
Yeah, well, that'll do it. They're not very strong. So we're gonna go run over there and grab that real quick and we'll be back. All right, so we're gonna go run and grab that radiator before somebody else grabs it because these things are very common around where we live. Well, excuse the mess, but we got a radiator just because I didn't like the way that other one looked. Well, there you go.
Thank you, sir.
It's not too bad.
Throw a part at it. Make it work better. There she is.
It's all shiny.
Look how straight that sucker is.
Looks a lot nicer than the other one.
Radiator in my Jeep is straight as a rainbow.
Yeah.
Put it down here to turn my pet cock.
It's a funny name, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like who thought of that? Oh, there's a hole. Well, there's bung hole and petcock.
Oh, there's some moisture. Okay. Why isn't it coming out the hose though? There we go.
Well, I mean that'll work.
It's only been 2 hours. We're finally draining the radiator. I'm kidding.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there you go. If I take off this, it should make it drain a little quicker too.
Aren't we supposed to open up something else?
Nope,
Just that?
that's it. So that, you know, it sucks the air in so it won't create a vacuum and you'll get all your coolant down there in the bucket. Because Jeep's so nice to actually supply a hose for it to run through so that it's not, you know, dripping off of every piece of metal under there where you have like 7 or 8 different streams coming off the bottom of your engine. So, well done, Jeep. So today is just full of automotive adventures. We're sitting around waiting for that to drain out. I mean, I don't really have too much in the bucket yet, so it's going to take some time. So it's going to hang out for a little bit. And Jeff's over there messing with his new truck. Well, his new to him truck. The latch froze up on him. He got his new cover all clamped down, got his tailgate and locked it, and then you realize he couldn't get it open. All right, so now that's done draining, we're gonna replace the water pump first, and then he also got a new serpentine belt to throw in it right here. Hopefully it's the right length. We got a new serpentine belt. That's a good idea. Might as well just replace it while everything's out. So we're gonna take the water pump out first, and then we're gonna change out the radiator, and hopefully everything goes nice and smoothly.
We're doing pretty good so far. We've only made 2 trips to the parts store.
So we'll get a time lapse going and start yanking some parts out of this thing. I'm an idiot. This fitting right here is seized up on this pipe that runs into this hose right here. So we were trying to mess with that, trying to figure out how we were going to spin this thing all the way around. But then I realized that that's attached to the water pump. So now all we have to do is remove the water pump bolts, and that whole thing comes out, so we can thread this out, thread it into the new one, and then reinstall the whole unit. So we're learning things. All right, last pull. We drained all of it, so we didn't have antifreeze run everywhere, but we probably will anyway, because there's always some that's trapped in the block. So make sure you have a bucket underneath it.
I'm gonna get on bucket duty.
Sure. I think should just. Yep, there it goes. Yeah, that was most of the way in the bucket. So, there's the old water pump. Actually, looks always different.
Yeah, not much for a gasket.
Plastic. Yeah, the gasket's like non-existent. So, yeah, gasket failure. The water pump feels okay, but we'll put the new one in while we're here. So this was the pipe that I was talking about. I'm not sure that this is actually supposed to be free spinning. I'm pretty sure it's just one solid piece, so that you do it like this and then tighten it in before you put it in. But I'm not too sure, but that's just what we're going to do. So let's grab the new part and we'll get it put in. So while we were getting that out, he's already done. Where's your lock at?
Didn't put it back in. The key won't turn.
Oh, okay.
I think I have the valet key.
Oh.
And that's why I think it won't unlock it.
Well,
So I gotta get the old dealership.
so he bought this truck from one of his good friends. Almost wonder if he kept the good key to pull a prank on you.
I asked him. He said no.
I mean, that'd be like him to do something like that.
Yeah.
I thought that's the look you were giving me.
No.
Yeah. So this got cross-threaded
Oh no.
off camera. So
That's like really bad.
yeah, it is bad.
That's like almost halfway down.
Dylan's plan was to.
But we're gonna try to make it work.
It's just gotta grab at the
yeah,
end.
just gotta grab at the end, and I mean,
And put plenty of that
she'll
on
hold.
there.
We're just gonna lather her up and ram her home.
Is there anything left on that?
Yeah, this is fine. 'Cause this is metal, or this is steel.
Right, that's what it just
That's aluminum.
burnt that up. Yeah.
I started it by hand. I got a couple turns by hand.
All right, time to wrench on it.
We're just gonna.
All right, so we're gonna clean up the surface as best we can. I've stuffed a rag in the block here just to kind of keep any of the debris out when you're scraping. You want to get it as clean as you can, especially since this thing was leaking in the first place because the gasket failed. So just make sure you get all the old gasket and all of the gunk and grime off as best you can before putting the new part on. This is the new water pump. Just got to grab the gasket real quick and we can get that thrown on there. All right, so now the new water pump is in. I should probably go a little more in depth with this just in case, you need to know where the bolts are. So there's one right there, one right there, one right there, and then there is two down there on that underside. So that's pretty much all you got to do is get those 5 bolts out, unclip this hose right here, and that tube runs right there down into the top of the water pump, and then disconnect this main hose and
Cross thread it.
and that's it. Yeah, don't cross thread it. So once it's back on there, just want to make sure that it spins freely and that there's nothing binding, which we're in pretty good shape. So we're just going to put this the rest of the way together, and then we're going to pull out the radiator here and replace that as well. All right, so to get to the radiator bolts, we're going to remove the grill, which is just a series of little 8mm bolts there, and then the bolts are right there in the front, and then we'll be able to just yank this thing out. So it turns out this plastic part of the bumper comes all the way up behind the grill, and there's these really annoying like one-way metal clamps that like pressure fit onto it. So we're just going to pry this out, and doing that I'm able to get my wrench with an extension and a 10mm to get to this bolt on the radiator. So it took a little bit of massaging, but we got it out. So now we're prepping the new one to go in with these transmission lines. Just got to get those on right there, slide it in, fill it up with fluid, and then we're pretty much good to go. So like every project that we start on a Sunday, we broke the fitting off of the old radiator, which isn't necessarily an issue. The issue is getting that out so that we can put this on the new radiator. So we haven't had any luck getting any of that out. We've broken an easy out trying to thread it in there. So we're going on an adventure to pick and pull. We are now at the wrecking yard. So now we got to look for the Jeeps. So we found all the Jeeps. This one has the part that we need. So we're gonna go ahead and snag that line from under there. But unfortunately, This one is just sitting here in the junkyard. That's a shame. It's actually pretty straight for sitting in the junkyard. I don't really understand. Well, I got hit on this side a little bit, but yep. That's it right there. This would have made a great wheeler. Living right next to a wrecking yard has saved my ass so many times. So for this part right here, transmission cooler line, it was quoted like $97 to $100, which is insane.
Special order.
Yeah, all special order. Well, we got this one today, so we're gonna see how much they charge us for it. They only charged us $26 for it, and the places where he was quoted, it was gonna be like almost $100, and we would have had to wait 2 or 3 days. So always check a local wrecking yard to see if they have a part that you need. So yeah, this is gonna work out sweet. Just getting the new lines on, well, the old lines on the new radiator, and then we'll pretty much just drop her in, and then it'll be time to hook up the rest of the, oh, that's on there pretty good. Then we'll hook up the rest of the belt system, get that pulley on the new water pump, and we'll be ready to crank it up. So unfortunately, on the new water pump, the bolts are the wrong thread. So these are fine thread, and it's threaded for coarse thread. So this is our hang up, and unfortunately, I don't know what time it is.
Probably about
Yeah, so we're gonna have to see if there's a hardware store that's still open. See if we can get the bolts to go in there. You can tell it's getting dark now. That's because everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. That little hydraulic line that or that little transmission line that we broke, we had to drive about a half hour to pick and pull to get that. And then we got back, started putting everything together. You do have to fight those radiators going in a little bit. And the only way we were able to get it back in was to remove the AC condenser, and that's just because his Jeep doesn't have AC. It hasn't ever worked since he's owned it. So he just decided to get rid of it. So we pulled that out of there, and then the radiator went right in. So we were like, okay, sweet, we're pretty much done. Well, then we went to go put the pulley back onto the new water pump, and it turns out that the new water pump had coarse thread, and the old water pump were fine thread. So we just had to run to the hardware store. Luckily they were open, and luckily they had the bolts that we needed. So now we're on our way back to the house. So hopefully all we got to do now is pop those bolts in, put the belt in, fill it with fluid. Oh, and then the fan too. So it should we might be looking at about another half hour before it's actually ready, running, and back on the road. Do is give her some fluid, and then it's concentrate, so we have to mix it with water. So we are just gonna dump some in and then guess, and then I just gotta put the air box back in. Once that's all done, I'll actually do that right now while he's filling it full of fluid, and then we'll be able to fire it up, and then we'll just have to let it get to operating temperature and watch for some leaks. We're filling her up, and Josh decided to stop by. What's up, Josh? That's his brother. That's the other brother-in-law.
LaReach.
So we've been working on this a little too long. We finally get to the point where we're filling it full of coolant, and we forgot to put the little bung plug in for the petcock.
Shit, we might have to undo this hose.
You're just pouring it in coolant, starts running everywhere, all over the ground. Like, not even a little bit of it went into the bucket.
Shit.
I bet I could probably get it from underneath, but except the ground's wet.
Here, I can see the hole.
You can't make this shit up.
I can't feel the petcock hole.
Really wish I was filming for when it started pouring out, because Ryan's reaction was pretty funny. Yeah, except that was more like a waterfall.
Petcock hole.
That's the sound it makes every time
Oh.
you down the gas when it's driving the truck.
I just dropped the petcock.
Did you? Oh no.
And it might have gone into the bucket.
Oh no.
How much coolant do you add when half the coolant you added just poured out on the ground because you didn't put the petcock in?
All right, guys. So that is it. We got it all back together and running. Now we're just bleeding off the system. So she's almost done. It was a long day, but we did it.
Good job, man. You killed it. Couldn't have done it
So,
without you.
that being said, if you're still here, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll have another video up here hopefully shortly.